rankings for week 2. We wrapped up week 2 of the USFL season. The quality of football throughout the league has taken steps in the right direction. Players and coaches appear to be getting more comfortable after their first month together, but there's still plenty of cleanup for nearly every team heading into week 3. Totally agree about that. So here is his power rankings for the week. Let me know what you think in the comments. Number 1, New Orleans Breakers. Last week, number 2, the Breakers passing attack is what we thought it was. New Orleans might have the most complete team in the USFL. Quarterback Kyle Slaughter bounced back in a big way after disappointing week 1, and the Breakers defense has established itself as the best in the league. And in one of the most highly anticipated games of week 2, the Breakers blew out Tampa Bay Bandits, with Slaughter competing 25 of 39, 266 yards, 2 touchdowns, and rushed for 1 yard, 1 touchdown. New Orleans running backs had a decent day. Jordan Ellis, 21 carries, 64 yards. TJ Logan, 10 times for 43 yards and a touchdown, also hauling in 3 receptions for 29. Breakers' leading receiver would be Jonathan Adams, who had a sick catch and who would total 5 receptions for 95 yards. The team's second 2 receiving touchdowns came from Johnny Dixon and Sean Poindexter. And defensively, Devin Bellamy and the Breakers defense picked up where they left off in week 1 and continued to wreak havoc. While Bellamy didn't have quite as big game as last week, the rest of the defense sure did. Bellamy, along with defensive tackles Kimalo Toganga and Connor Christian, totaled 4 sacks, with cornerbacks Neville Clark and Mike Stevens adding 2 interceptions on the day. The Breakers currently look like the USFL's team to beat, and they're set to face Jamar Smith and the hot Birmingham Stallions in week 3. They moved that game on the schedule, and now that is the primetime game Saturday night at 8. It was supposed to be a Sunday game. Philadelphia Stars are number 2, led by Brian Scott, take over the second-ranked spot after their win. They were last week at 3. Went over the Pittsburgh Maulers, who also looked better. Philly showed why they were so high on the team coming into the season. Scott looked like an early MVP candidate. Despite facing a stout Maulers defense, ended the game with 26 of 36 passing, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 INT, also taking 6 carries for 16 yards and a touchdown. Leading receiver was Maurice Alexander and Jordan Sewell. Alexander ended the game with 8 catches for 87 yards and 2 TDs. Sewell finished 6 for 72. DeAndre Overton also found end zone, hauling in 3 receptions, 42 yards, and a touchdown for the day. Defensively, the Stars had 2 interceptions, one from safety Ahmad Dixon, other coming from cornerback Channing Stribbing. So they played well. Birmingham Stallions move up from 4 to number 3 this week. They after their big win over Houston Gamblers, took over the 3rd-ranked spot. It was a defensive start on Saturday's game, with each defense scoring the touchdown in the first quarter, Jamar Smith, and the offense turned things around the second quarter, put on a show in the second half, making the highest-scored game of the weekend. Smith ended the game 20 of 30, 229 yards, 2 TDs, and an interception, also taking 8 carries for 34 yards. CJ Marble had a solid day and in the game with 16 carries, 76 yards and a touchdown, and catch 2 passes for 20. The Stallions' leading receiver, Marlon Williams and Osiris Mitchell, with Williams bringing in 3 catches for 88 and a touchdown. Mitchell, 3 for 48 and a touchdown as well. Defensively, Birmingham recorded 3 interceptions and 2 sacks on the day. They look well. Dropping from 1 to 4, Tampa Bay Bandits. I was so disappointed in this game. I thought this was going to be a great game. They fell because their offense couldn't get anything going against the New Orleans Breakers, and they just looked gassed relatively early in the matchup. Rough day for Jordan Ta'amu, ended the day completing 8 of 18, 62 yards and 1 interception, also rushing 4 times for 45 yards. Backup Brady White made an appearance, didn't have any more success in the day of 3 of 10, 34 yards and 1 interception. BJ Edmonds, the running back, had a rough day on the ground, ending with 14 carries for 39 yards. Edmonds also led the team in receiving with only 3 catches for 29 yards, so you can see that didn't go well. Houston Gamblers move up from 6 to 5. They take the 5th-ranked spot after losing a hall-fought game against Birmingham. The Gallows continue to prove doubters wrong despite coming up short in their game with the Stallions, showing much to be excited about over the first 2 weeks of the season. They've definitely got things going. Despite Clayton Thorson having another below-average day through the air, he ended the game with 13 of 27, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 picks. Also rushed 16 times for 95 for 3 yards, leading the air attack. Houston's were Ty Simmons, Anthony Ratliff Williams, and Isaiah Zuber. Simmons finished the game 2 of 54 for a touchdown. Zuber 2 of 29 and a touchdown. Ratliff Williams led the team with receptions ending the day with 5 catches for 40. Houston's came up big on the defensive side of things. Chris Odom and cornerback Will Likely each forcing a fumble. Odom recorded a sack and Likely tackled an interception, which was returned for a touchdown. Pittsburgh Maulers, they were 8 at the bottom. They moved up to number 6. Contrary to the week 1, the Maulers started to figure things out in week 2 against the Stars. Despite losing the game, the team looked far more competitive. Josh Love played more competitive game than last week. Ended the day 21 of 39, 236 yards, 2 TDs, 2 picks. Running backs Garrett Gresnick and Mondre London got things going on the ground game. Those 2 running backs I thought would be awesome. 18 for 77 yards for Groshik, also hauling 1 for 5. London 10 times 43 yards and bringing 2 receptions for 11. Leading receivers, Bailey Gaither, 7 catches, 117 yards and a touchdown. Tight end Hunter Thedford also found the end zone, 2 catches for 10 and a TD. Defensively, the Maulers forced 3 fumbles, recovering 2 of them, so they look better. The Maulers are looking pretty decent. The New Jersey Generals, 5 last week, jumped down to 7. They're coming off of the win against Michigan Panthers, but the game wasn't a pretty one. 0 points scored in the entire second half. While their defense played well, the offense had its moments. If the lack of offense production continues over the coming weeks, question regarding the Generals' 2 quarterback system might arise. Remember, they've got Luis Perez. He ended having 13 of 19, 97 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Johnson, 5 of 6, 48 yards, rushed 10 times for 27. The league's rusher, Darius Victor, also finished the game 11 carries, 40 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Darius Shepard led the air attack. He hauled in 5 catches for 58 yards. Defensively, solid game, but again, the 2 quarterback system not looking good. Michigan Panthers with the number 1 overall pick, coming off a tough loss with the New Jersey Generals. However, the Generals are ranked 7th. Panthers. Defense played well, but poor play at the quarterback. Shea Patterson is what led the team to their 2nd straight loss. Patterson struggled through the game, and then the day 14 of 29, 124 yards, rushed 3 for 6. More than half of Patterson's passing yards came on the game's final drive. Leading the air attack was tight end Marcus Paul. You just get the drift there, just not playing well at all. So here is the latest rankings one last time. I believe I'm with this one 100% for Matt Lyons. Number 1, Nolan's Breakers from 2 to 1. Philadelphia Stars, I think these are the 2 top teams, and we knew the Stars would be good. They proved it. They're last week 3. They're at 2. Birmingham Stallions looking strong, and they should be. They're the home team. Last week 4. Now they're up to 3. They're looking like the team. Bandits, I'm a little concerned about. They need to bounce back this week. They were number 1. They're down to 4. Gamblers moved up 1 spot. They're still kind of but looking better. They're at number 5. Pittsburgh Maulers, they were all at the bottom. They definitely showed out against a good Philadelphia Stars team. Pittsburgh moves up to 6. And then New Jersey Generals, they were at 5. They dropped all the way down to 7. And Michigan Panthers were 7. And now they are at 8. They had the number 1 overall pick. They had to consider the biggest name of the coaches. And they're in last place. But hey, anything can happen in this spring football league. A team can get hot. But right now, the Breakers are looking good, and you got to stay tuned for that Saturday night 8 o'clock game between, and we'll get into that later in the show, between the New Orleans Breakers and I believe it is the Birmingham Stallions. Is that correct? That is the primetime game. We'll have to find out.